Hey everybody, welcome back to Canine Active Health. Today we're going to be talking about a subject that might not be everyone's favorite and may give some of you the heebie-jeebies, and that is ticks. Specifically, we're going to talk about removing them and what tools I find the best to get them out of Bo. So Bo here, he's a German short-haired pointer. He loves hunting, even on walks or if we're just in the local park. He's always searching for squirrels, ducks, you name it. It's nonstop with this guy. He barely spends time in the open. He's in thick brush, tall grass, getting his nose down and looking for things. Now the trouble with that, there's a lot of ticks that live in those environments too, and over the last couple years, the prevalence of ticks have been higher and higher. So I've had a handful of ticks myself, and I know Bo has as well. And you know, over the years, you find better ways to and use better tools to get the ticks out. And I've kind of settled on one tool that I think is fantastic for getting ticks out. It's easy. I have multiple of them. I have some up north where we go hunting, and I keep some at home here, especially with the dogs that I work on. A lot of the dogs are active and the people are out in the woods and the trails that are local to here. And you know, I'm often finding ticks when I'm palpating dogs and take them out easily with this tool. So the good thing with Bo is he's a short hair breed. So he's very slick. He really doesn't stop running. He's slowing down a touch at almost 8 years old now. And the good thing is, because he's always moving, I find they have a really difficult time latching onto his body. So where I do mostly find the ticks, basically all the ticks Bo's ever had, have been in and around his head, in his ears. So remember always to check within your dog's ears, because he's had multiple in there. And then the latest one, which prompted me to make this video, is he had one on his brow. Now unfortunately I completely forgot to film it. I was just in a rush and I tried to take it out. But I realized, you know, this is something that people need to know, and that this tool is out there to get these ticks out, because it makes life so much easier. So in the past, when I found them on myself or I found them on Bo, my typical go-to was always to, you know, grab tweezers, especially when I was up at the cabin. I often didn't have this tool with me, so I just go to tweezers, because that's the only thing. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I tried to use needle nose pliers once, but that wasn't good. But with the tweezers, what I find is, because they have the metal edges, sometimes if you're not careful and you use a little bit too much force, you can break the head off and leave it in your skin, and it's really hard to get out. So we've had that happen once with Bo, where on his inner ear, and it kind of left a little bit of a welt in there, and it's still there to this day. So that was because we really had to work out that head to get it out. And as you know, you want to pull out the tick when it's fully alive. That means, you know, you got all the pieces that you've pulled out, and you don't have to worry about stuff getting in there. So the tools that I've used, the tweezers, for example, I've had multiple times where I've left parts of it in there, and you really have to work it out, and it can irritate the skin. You don't want the tick to regurgitate what it's feeding on, so you get more bacteria in there. Obviously, we all know the concerns around Lyme disease these days. So what I've used multiple tools. I've used tick keys, tweezers. I finally ended up on this one. I call it the tick stick, but I don't know what the actual name is of these. I looked online and there's multiple different, so clearly people have private labeled these and you know, marketed them however they want. But these little guys, these little plastic tools here, I don't even know what you would call them, but they're great. They're fantastic for removing the tick, because most of them now come with multiple sizes. So depending on how engorged the tick is, you can work underneath the tick. You can use this little tool with a little bit of leverage, and you can kind of rotate the tick back and forth, and it usually pops out. It's still moving, it's squirming around, and whether or not that will give you the heebie-jeebies, it is a good thing, because you know you've gotten everything out for the most part. So what I like to do is I like to get underneath, find the right size first of all. Because it's plastic, the edges I find where it wraps around the tick are not near as sharp. They're a lot more forgiving. So you can kind of work that tick a little bit, and never have I had the tick break or snap in half because of this tool. So when I get in there, I like to use a little bit of motion, side to side, twisting back and forth. I remember the instructions of this said just keep twisting until it comes out. Personally, I like rocking back and forth, doing a little bit of lateral bending on the tick, very gently, mind you, using a little bit of leverage to pry it, and then a little bit of rotation as well. And honestly, you'll just see that tick, it'll pull a little bit on the skin, and then it will pop right out. I love these tools. I highly recommend them to everybody. I think they're like anywhere from $10 to $15 online. I'll link down below because I'm a huge advocate of these. And I highly recommend that if you're in multiple places, if you have a cabin, a cottage, or you have a hunting camp somewhere, have a couple of these stored up there just to have them on hand, whether it's for yourself or for your dog. It's a great tool to have when you need them, so you don't have to resort to tweezers and then having part of the tick left in your dog. I hope that helps. Until next time, have a great one.